Hello and welcome to this video on sentence types. In this video, I'll be talking about 3 different sentence types, simple, compound and complex, and how you can go about identifying each one. Why might this be useful to you? Being able to use a variety of different sentence types in your writing will make it much more engaging for your reader. It's also a skill that will gain you higher marks in your exam if used effectively. Okay, so before we begin, it's important that you understand a piece of terminology that I'll be using in this video, and that word is clause. A clause is a part of a sentence, and it comes in 2 different forms, a main clause and a subordinate clause. A main clause is part of a sentence that makes sense on its own, and doesn't need another clause for it to make sense. A subordinate clause is part of a sentence that doesn't make sense on its own, and it requires a main clause to join with it for it to make sense. Let's begin by looking at a simple sentence. A simple sentence is a sentence that contains one main clause. It will contain one verb and at least one noun. Here's an example. The athlete ran the marathon. Here we are being given one piece of information, that the athlete ran the marathon. We also have 2 nouns, athlete and marathon, but only one verb, which is ran. Notice how this sentence makes complete sense on its own. We're not missing any information, it feels complete. That is because it is made up of a single main clause. Now, moving on to a compound sentence. A compound sentence is a sentence that contains 2 or more main clauses that are joined together using a conjunction. Let's bring back our simple sentence from earlier. The athlete ran the marathon. This is a single main clause. So, to turn this into a compound sentence, we need to add another main clause to it and join it together with a conjunction. So, we can change this to, the athlete ran the marathon and she finished in first place. The athlete ran the marathon and she finished in first place are both main clauses, as they both make complete sense on their own. We have created a compound sentence here by joining these 2 main clauses together with the conjunction and. Okay, so finally, let's look at a complex sentence. A complex sentence is a sentence that contains a main clause and a subordinate clause. If you remember from the beginning of the video, a subordinate clause is a part of a sentence that needs the main clause to make sense. Here's an example of a subordinate clause. Despite the fact it was raining. Now, this is a subordinate clause because it isn't complete. Something is missing. Despite the fact it was raining, what? This is where the main clause comes in to help. If we add our main clause from earlier to this subordinate clause, we now have, despite the fact it was raining, the athlete ran the marathon. This is now a complex sentence because the main clause has joined with the subordinate clause to make the sentence make sense. Something worth noting about subordinate clauses is that they can actually be moved around to different parts of the sentence. For instance, we could put it before the main clause, like we have done here, or we could move it to after the main clause, or we could split the main clause after the noun and place it in the middle, creating what we call an embedded clause, as it is embedded within the main clause. To finish with, here are a few different types of sentences based on what we've talked about today. You can pause the video and see if you can identify which one is a simple, compound, and complex sentence before I reveal the answers. I'll reveal the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here they are. Okay, so I hope this was useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.